Hello and welcome to episode 1, Modern Management for the Anywhere Workforce. I'm your host Adi Kanduri and I'm joined today by a really special guest, Jason Rozak. So Jason's been leading the charge here at VMware when it comes to Windows modernization, so we couldn't have asked for a better person to kick this series off for us. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey Adi, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to our conversation.
It's always a pleasure, Jason. So how about we start off with a quick introduction, a little bit on what your team does and what you're focused on driving at VMware?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason Rozak, I look after our product teams for Windows 10 modernization. Our team is really focused on giving administrators a better way to manage their Windows 10 devices.
Awesome. So you mentioned Windows 10 and modern management. I want to start off with a little bit of basics, right? So what is modern management for Windows 10?
No, it's really a good question. I get this a lot from customers. They hear modernization, they hear cloud, they hear all of these things, but they don't really understand what it means. Windows 10 modernization is really focused on simplifying and automating things for IT administrators so that they can start to focus on more value-add things like creating a better employee experience. And for us, we're always balancing when we think about what modern means, what's best for IT and what's best for the end user. And I think that's really one of the big differences approach with modernization is we're not just focused on kind of simplifying things for IT, but we're also really focused on the human at the other end of that device.
Love that, right? So really taking that user-centric view as well when it comes to managing these devices, that's really required and need of the hour. So why should customers care about this? And, especially now, when we are seeing, most people are working from home, what makes this more important?
Yeah, it's again, another good question, right? When you think about employees today, one of the biggest pieces of feedback we get from not just IT teams, but also HR is that technology is top of mind from an employee retention perspective. So offering a technology solution that helps users be more productive, it doesn't just help the bottom line business, it also helps you keep top talent. Now, I think we're all aware of some of the things happening across the globe with COVID-19. Modernization and employee experience is really top of mind right now for folks. We've gone from scenarios where companies had devices in the office and IT folks that were there to manually provide help. That's not the case anymore. So we really have to look and reevaluate how we modernize devices, whether it's shipping devices to end users or getting them help for issues they might be encountering or teaching them how to use new services. Our employees still have to get their jobs done, but the way they do their work is really drastically different now in a post-COVID world. In modernization, we've really put a lot of focus there on things we can do to help both the IT person and the end user.
Great. So, really providing those cloud native technologies and, reaching out and providing employees what they need when they need it. That's going to be a critical aspect as well. So, why would you say Workspace ONE is uniquely positioned when it comes to meeting these requirements?
Yeah, what's interesting about Workspace ONE, when you look at our platform, we've really built it from the ground up to be cloud first. So a lot of times I talk to customers and they're trying to retrofit traditional, what I would call legacy technologies to make them cloud first. They've got these processes built around imaging things inside their building or distribution points set up across their campuses to spread out content. Those things don't really work in a post-COVID world.
And they're expensive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I see customers struggling today, they're trying to take these existing technologies and somehow figure out how to scale them off the network. And they were never really built for that. These technologies were built for an environment where PCs were in the office. So what's unique about Workspace ONE is we've had the opportunity to build our system from the ground up to be 100% cloud native, where we don't have these dependencies on the network or the firewall or people to be in offices. We can really efficiently manage and secure these devices regardless of where they are in the world and regardless of time of day.
Being able to manage devices anywhere, any network, on or off domain, that's pretty awesome, right? So having that line of sight across every device, that's going to be critical now. That's impressive. So, great work too, and especially by your team.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned line of sight, right? I think it's not just line of sight from a management perspective, but also line of sight into what the employee is experiencing. So many customers I talk to now, they've got concerns with understanding if their users are able to get their job done. They just don't know. They're flying blind. So we've put a lot of focus there on helping them get visibility into how productive their users are, whether it's looking at their productivity time or kind of their PC boot up time or how many issues they're hitting trying to log into apps. that's such an important piece that you mentioned.
Yep. I mean, really good, benefit statements over there, right? So there's clearly a lot of goodness built into this, but we can understand that getting to modern management won't be just a flip of a switch, right? So is there anything that your team is doing product-wise to make it easier for customers to transition?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. There's three parts of modern management. First is looking at modernizing your IT processes. So how you ship devices to users, how you connect them to support. We've built several capabilities in the product where we can evaluate the way you deploy PCs today and show you a better way to do it. We've also done things where we can look at your experience scoring across your devices and see if there's technologies that users are struggling with. So take patches, for example. We can help you identify, are these machines patched, or users struggling to get them? Things like that to help you better identify which machines you need to focus on. So the first piece is really looking at modernizing your processes for how you manage these devices. The second thing is more so looking at the employee experience. So we've also built capabilities that will show you what kind of experience your user's having with the PC itself, whether it's loading fast or whether applications are crashing or things like that. So we've got some different evaluation tools in the product to help there. And then the third piece is really a zero trust security model. And for all three of these, including the zero trust security model, we have services that can come on site and help you identify where you are. So these guys specialize in walking into environments completely green, doing an evaluation of where you are as a customer and helping you identify the best path forward. So lots of tools to help you migrate, lots of discovery tools to help you figure out where to get started. And I think honestly, that's the biggest thing I see people struggle with. Where do I start? Do I start with making apps available or changing how I do deployment or changing how I do support? We've got the various tools and services that can help really identify where to get started on the journey.
So yeah, I mean, clearly a lot of depth built into the platform, making it enterprise ready and scalable for customers to get to modern management. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the product is, of course, Workspace ONE Airlift, right? So helping customers make that journey and transition even faster. Do you want to speak a little bit on what Airlift can do and how it can help?
Sure. So most of our customers that we talk to today, they're coming from a Microsoft environment. So they've got SCCM, they've got WSUS, they've got Active Directory, they've got group policies, they've got all of these things that are on premise. And what they're starting to realize is having these multiple tools on premise is really challenging in a cloud-first world. So what Airlift does is Airlift will plug into your traditional management estate. It gives us a view of what you're doing, so we can see the management policies you've set up, the deployment capabilities you've set up, and it lets us very easily migrate those things over to the cloud with the click of a button.
I mean, I think that's going to be a critical aspect, right? So many times we get into these customer conversations where, yes, I agree that modern management is significantly beneficial, but I just don't have the IT resources, time, patience, money to get going. So that automation is going to be super critical. That's really great, Jason.
Good point. And it is interesting, right? When I talk to customers, is typically we hear three things, and this is going to sound a bit cliche, but it's people, process, and technology. A lot of times the technology is there, but people and process becomes the harder challenge. So when you think about your journey to modernization, really, I would encourage you, let us help you, right? We've done this. So we've onboarded hundreds of thousands of devices in the last few months since COVID. We've helped customers with these journeys. We can really help you, not just from a technology perspective, but from a process and people perspective, reevaluate how you approach these things and really give you a recommendation on the best path forward. And I do think that's critical because honestly, most customers I talk to today, they understand the value of modern. The struggle is, how do I get there? And that's where these different capabilities like Airlift, our services, can really help you identify that path forward.
Oh, that's great. And and you mentioned COVID and how customers might be struggling with remote Windows PCs. And again, I don't want to beat on this point, and everyone knows that it's raining. But if there are three things customers, especially coping with remote Windows PCs, could do now and do it fast, what do you think that should be?
Yeah, I think first is look at your current processes, right? So how are you deploying PCs? There's better, faster ways now. We can help you drop ship a PC directly from a factory to the end user's doorstep. So we're at a place now with our technology where directly from a Dell factory, for example, you can order a new PC. It'll ship from the factory, fully configured from the Workspace ONE cloud to the user's doorstep. User gets the device, they boot it up. This gets really important now. We're hearing more and more from folks that they're hiring people, sometimes sight unseen, right? They've done Zoom interviews, they've done kind of conversations, but employees are not coming to the office. So that first piece around drop shipping a device is really critically important. So evaluate your broader processes. I think particularly the way you do deployment and particularly the way you offer support is really important. That second piece with support, we also have built-in support tools in the product where we can help proactively resolve issues before they happen, as well as provide a remote management help desk for IT to help reach out to users. So really double clicking on your current process evaluation, that's step one. Now, step two, I think, is reshifting the focus to the employee experience. So evaluating not just making things available, right? When we think about this COVID journey, there's going to be a wave. The first part of the wave is just making sure you're prepared. Do your users have devices? Do they have apps? The second piece is really going to be where we optimize. And I would encourage folks to go ahead and start looking at the second phase. What does it mean to optimize in a post-COVID world? Evaluating services, evaluating consumption. And that's where things like experience management and some of the other capabilities we have come into the product into play. And then finally, the third is the security model. So most folks I talk to, they've also got traditional security tools, right? These things are built off this kind of moat and castle defense system. As these things move off the network, security gets more complex. So whether it's identity and multi-factor auth or conditional access, a zero trust security framework becomes really important. So typically when I speak to customers, those are the three big things: IT process modernization, employee experience optimization, and preparing for the future. And really that zero trust security model to ensure you're still safeguarding your company's information as well as protecting your end users.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Especially on the security piece. That's a great segue into my next conversation. That's going to be with our CTO Sean Bass. So we'll be covering that in the next episode. But you made some really good points over there and laid it out very well in terms of the journey that customers can take, right? So getting devices and apps quickly to their hands, that's the response phase. We need to make sure that we are able to do that proactively and immediately. I've had the pleasure of onboarding 2 employees on my team, while everyone's been remote, and the dropship experience was really significant as part of that onboarding process. As we close this session, have to ask this, right? So you've been working on this for 5 years. You've seen your baby grow into this market-leading modern management solution. So what's next for our customers?
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. I remember all of the talk about crossing the chasm for modern management and looking at the various Gartner and Forrester studies on when it was going to take off. Post-COVID, we've seen 4 years of transformation in 2 months, right? So just a fun journey. I think we've seen a lot of customers start to adopt this. Like I said, I think over 1 million devices in the last 6 months or something like that. And what's nice is these folks, they're not looking for a hybrid approach. They really want to modernize. They want to focus on employee experience. They want to offer choice. So what's next? I think for us, we've focused a lot on device management. I think the next forefront is employee experience. So we're really doubling down on optimizing what the use of this technology looks like from an end user experience. And I think that in a post-COVID world, whether it's employee retention or figuring out how we help end users, really offering them that next level experience, I really think it's going to be key going forward.
It's awesome. So really thinking along the lines of moving from modern management to this next phase of modern IT. Jason, those are really good insights over here. A lot that our team and the audience could take away from this session. Any closing thoughts as we leave?
No, just let us help you. I think we talked about this a good bit, right? But where I see customers really struggle is where to get started. We talk about paralysis by analysis. I think most folks recognize the need to modernize these days, but it really can be overwhelming, figure out where to start. So we've got some great customer journey success plans. We're happy to show you kind of methodologies for how previous customers have done this. We've built a pretty good practice around this. So let us be your trusted advisor. We're more than happy to help, and we really want to help you guys take your employee experience to the next level.
It's awesome. Yep. Thanks, Jason. Again, always a pleasure to talk to you. For anyone listening, we have these resources. I'll flash a slide that talks about these resources as well. And over the next episodes, like I mentioned, we'll be talking with Sean Bass on all they can do about, all of you guys can do about security. And then we'll also have a couple of sessions that will focus on how VMware themselves has gone through this journey, as well as how our field engineering and professional services teams can help you navigate this modern management. So stay tuned and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.